Welcome to lesson 3 of the full ACT math series. Today, we're going to get our hands dirty with probability and talking about the word and. So get excited. Let's jump right into it. As always, we want to start with the main point. We're going to be talking about probability today. Probability just means the favorable over the total. What that means really is I like to think about it as like target over total. So target meaning what are we targeting? What is the question asking for? That's favorable in that like it's affirmative, it's a target. So we'll talk more about that as we progress. And really the main takeaway here is and. The word and will mean multiply. Certainly the test could just ask you an easy question and say this and that, or it might just be very clear that and is multiplied, but it also just builds the foundations for more advanced questions. They might not tell you exactly. They might not say the word exact and exactly in the question stem, but we might need to think about, okay, is this an and or statement to navigate? And when we do determine it's and, we just multiply. And finally, a really important consideration as we're going through all this is whether we have replacement or not. So we'll see that as we get practice. And without further ado, let's get that practice. So as a reminder, this is where we stopped in lesson 2. And what we had was a drawer containing 12 pens. We had 4 blue, 5 black, and 3 red. We had 3 pens will be chosen at random. What is the probability that 1 pen of each color is chosen? In our last session, we talked about the idea of a combination. And if I said to myself, okay, I have 12 in total, right? 12 pens, and I'm choosing 3, that will give me the number of groups of 3 that I can make. That's 220. If, on the other hand, I just wanted to know the total possibilities that you could arrange these guys in different ways, you would just do the dash method, which is 4 times 5 times 3. And I could write out dashes for blue, black, and red, but that is the concept. And that's a quick review from where we stopped in lesson 2. So again, we have, in this case, 60 groups holding 1 pen of each color and 220 groups of 3 in all. Both of these came from lesson 2, nothing new here. But if we just take it a teeny tiny bit further and we start answering the question, when the question was asking us, like the probability that you'll have, let's just go back to it really fast. The probability that you have that 1 pen of each color is chosen, then we're going to put 60 over 220. The 220, those are all the possible groups of 3 that exist. And then with 60, that's just going to be the total possibilities that we're choosing 1 from each color. The other way that I could express, so I talked about the dash method a little bit as to the explanation, but you could also derive 60 by saying, okay, you have, if we go to the number of pens on each, let's go back to the question. I just want to show another way to show this. 1 second. Here, we'll just go to the answer here. It's going to reduce to 3/11ths. But another way that you could derive the top portion is just by simply saying, okay, you have 4. Sorry, sometimes you write this notation, but I'm going to write a more familiar one that we all learned. 4, that's blue, choose 1. 5, choose 1. And then 3, choose 1. Hopefully that makes sense because all we're doing is we're asking how many ways are there to just choose 1 from 4. And that will give us 3/11ths overall. So that's the foundation. By the way, my team wants me to remind everybody, this is a full math ACT series. I've been doing this for years and years, and I've finally decided just to put all the information out to the world. No more gatekeeping. I wasn't gatekeeping, but like it takes time to shoot videos, and now I'm committed though to just putting all this information out in the world. I'm primarily a one-on-one tutor, and the way we'll proceed is hitting every topic, of course, but then within the comments, there will be 5 practice questions on the specific topic that we're talking about. So today there will be some for the word and in probability. So hopefully that gives everybody practice as you're ramping towards an official test. And it's my way of trying to just really let you guys practice because practice is the name of the game here. And if you love what we're doing, please subscribe and pass it along to your friends. Let's jump into the content. We talk about that pen, like that pens example. And in that case, there was kind of only one event, but most times there are 2 things happening at once. And this is where our word hunt comes for the word and. If both things have to happen, that's what we will have an and situation. And that's just where we simply multiply. So think about the first thing we talk about is like, okay, target or favorable over the total. That's basic probability. Now we can start stringing different events together when we see the word and. And remember, and just multiplies. So, um, I also like to go back and bring our good old pal, the dash method back. If you remember in lesson one, we talked about the dash method. And we said, okay, why don't we put a dash for each of like, if you have a 4-digit code, let's put 4 dashes. You can do the same to keep yourself organized when you're working with probability. So if somebody's like, okay, what's the probability that it rains on Monday and Tuesday? You can put a dash for Monday, Tuesday, and then note the probabilities and then think, is this and or? That's really the structure we're working towards. This spinner question, I try my practice to bring in questions that are actually inspired by real questions. Here we have a spinner having 5 equal sections, number 1 through 5. The spinner is spun 2 times. What is the probability that it lands on an even number? Well, first, I'll pause, I'll talk slow. If you want to pause the video and try it yourself, this is a good time to do that. But in this case, the first thing we should notice is obviously 1 through 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And imagine this first spin. What is the probability that in that first spin you'll land on an even number? Well, you would have 2 and you would have 4, so it'll just be 2/5. Then you can make another dash for the second event, and it's the same thing happening, right? So it's just going to be 2/5 again. Notice here you can sort of repeat because you're still just using the same spinner. That's the idea. That's how you can show the dash method or use the dash method, right? And we formalize in the next few slides here. We had spin 1, we had spin 2, and all we have to do is fill in the blanks. And it really gives you a nice structure to be able to go through and solve these. Woot woot. All right. The one that costs students points or like the key consideration is that question of do we have repeats or not normally? And so here we have a bag containing 9 marbles, 4 red and 5 blue. 2 marbles are drawn at random without replacement. What is the probability that both marbles are red? I'll pause here if you want to pause the video. And same thing though. So what we're going to do is simply make 2 dashes and start dropping in the probability. Remember in this question, we had 4 red out of the 9 marbles, and there was not replacement, not replacement, not replacement, not replacement, not replacement. And so in the next instance, what happens is both your numerator and your denominator are going to drop by 1 here because they're asking about the same marble. They're asking you 2 in a row. And so you no longer have the 4, even though the question tells us we have 4 red marbles. That's dropped down because of draw 1. So that drops both the numerator and the denominator. The denominator obviously drops because we no longer have 9 marbles, we have 8. So all then you do is you ask, okay, do we need this and that, or this or this? And it's a fact pattern where you have an and because you wanted to have both marbles being red. So you need red and red. We go with answer choice A and thank the test for the free point. So if we put the marble back on the left-hand side, that's going to be with replacement. And both fractions will sort of match in that case, right? If the fact pattern changed in the last example, our answer choice would change. That's just because you do 4 nines times 4 nines. On the other hand, if we have that without replacement, then we're going to have the effect that we just went through. So it's not too bad at the end of the day, but we've all been there on test day. We know it can be fast and a lot can be happening on test day. So if you see this question, remember it's simple, but just remember you really need to focus in on with or without replacement. The words that mean it stays out. Okay, so these are kind of the concepts you're looking for. Without replacement, does not replace, keeps the first one. Those types of phrases will indicate that it stays out or we're dropping the denominator at the very least. But always think critically. They might not say any of these phrases. You might just need to deduce it a little bit, but it's never that it should be pretty obvious in the fact pattern. They have to make it obvious. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So we have a quiz having 1 multiple choice question with 4 answer choices and 1 true false question. A student guesses on both. What is the probability that both answers are correct? Well, we can start. And by the way, I'll talk slow here. I'll pause. If you want to pause the video, you can do so now. But let's jump into it. So dashes, right? And the first one would just be like, I don't know, like multiple choice we can put here. And the second one would just be like true, false, whatever notation you want there. And think about what the probability is that the person guesses right on multiple choice. There's four answer choices, so it's just going to be one fourth. And then true, false is going to be one half. Do you want this and that? Yeah, because it's asking us about the probability that both answers are correct. And so we multiply these together, and that's all we have to do. So we had multiple choices, one fourth. Just to recap, true, false is one half. Neither affects the other. That's the other important part. We'll talk about independence at some point, but that's the idea. So we would get one eighth, and they came out of different pools, so they're independent. It's just answer choice A in that case. Let's go on to the next one. We have a jar containing 10 tickets, numbered 1 through 10. A ticket is drawn at random and put back. So on the test, I actually might underline that if I'm going through, because that's really hitting with or without replacement. And then a second ticket is drawn. What is the probability that both tickets show a number greater than 4? Okay, so greater than 4 does not equal. So what is that going to be? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Sometimes I just like to list that out to make sure that I'm counting all these correctly. Like how many are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's actually 6 digits there, right? Because it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so let's put the dash here. In the first draw, what is the probability that both tickets will be greater than 4? We would have that 6 over 10. Now remember, it's put back. That's the key. So, okay, they draw that number, and now they're just going right back to the well. And we would do 6 over 10 again here and multiply these together because we need this and that to happen this second draw. So that's the process that we want to think through. On the next few slides, we outline this. So 6 of the 10 tickets qualify. So we have 3/5. So if you do see 6/10, you don't have to do this, but it will save some time later. You should be able to see that reduces to 3/5 because you can divide the numerator and the denominator by 2 and get a number, an integer. So we have 3/5 times 3/5, which is just equal to 9/25. So really, those are the foundations. Now, as I said, they can layer in more, and the answer is B on this one, by the way. The test can layer in more answers or more advanced concepts or fact patterns, but at its core, that's what we're looking at. And they do get predictable on these. They love, like there are sports ones that are really easy to say, like somebody had like a 65% chance of winning. What's the probability you win in both games? That's a very common one. Rain and weather is a common one. So as you continue to do practice, because that's what you have to do to really master this stuff, like you'll start recognizing when the and situations will happen. Or like the spinner example, it's a really good one. Now let's just identify some traps. Don't let this get in your head. Remember what we led with to say, like, and is multiplying. In our next lesson, we're going to talk about or, but don't make the mistake of adding. Remember, and is multiply. Trap 2 is just, I forgot the pool strength. That is the with or without replacement concept. It's the most important thing when you notice one of these concepts. It's not that bad though. As I said, like we want to respect it. We want to be intentional about it. But at the end of the day, don't overthink it. It's just doing exactly what the question tells us to do. But do have that question top of mind to ask whether it's shrinking or not. Okay. Now, the word's going to change next time, as I just hinted. The game becomes, okay, and is multiply, or it's just going to be addition. I'll give you a quick preview, but that will be in the next lesson. The main point today, we introduced probability, favorable over total. We talked about and meaning multiply, and then we introduced this concept, or really focused on it today to say, do we have replacement or no replacement? We also use that question at the very beginning, which in the last lesson I told you was one of the hardest on the ACT. The reason on one of the ACTs a few tests ago, the reason why this is an important topic is because the ACT is telling us they're leaning into probability. So we need to also lean into it when we're studying. As a reminder, so this is coming up to the end of the video. That was a quick one. And I hope to be concise. I know my last one was pretty long. Candidly, lesson 2, the combinations, it's denser because I really wanted students to understand it. These, going forward, I want to be quick and give you everything you need in just bite-sized videos, like not TikTok style or like shorts, but like they shouldn't, the ACT never gets that advanced. There's just a lot of topics. And so I'm going to hit those topics for you. We're going to have some fun doing it. And again, that will be throughout each video in this full math ACT series. Every single topic, we're just going to go. I'm going to put out all my lessons. 5 practice questions will always be pinned in the comment. And so if you start adding all this up, right? Like if you started at lesson 1, you do 5 questions, and then the next time 5 questions, 5 questions. Like you're going to get a lot of practice just by virtue of doing, like tuning into this YouTube series and then doing the practice questions. Don't forget to subscribe, please. I always appreciate it. But hopefully it will like help generate interest for more students to learn, and get excited for the next lesson because that will be probability as well, where we dive into or statements. And I'll